Look okay?
Okay.
Nice. Start a podcast.
Starting a podcast.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. The Vipassana.
Welcome to a Mind Date podcast.
Episode to help you heal and expand.
Not that much breathing.
Not that much breathing, which you can always add, but this podcast is going to be about breathing, but we're not going to be doing so much breathing.
Yes. Yes. We're going to talk about it.
Yes.
Maybe we have some special episodes here and there.
Yeah.
With some surprise breath work.
Yes.
But yeah.
For now, it's about healing and expanding.
Yes. And just having fun with conversations, really. So we just finished 5 days ago, right?
Yeah.
A Vipassana here in India, in Jaipur. And that was the plan to talk about.
Yes. Yeah, it was 11 days with 10 hours of these 11 days in silence with 11 hours of meditation and sitting a day.
Yes.
Was it what you expected?
No, I think what I had in mind was like, okay, this is going to be tough. And I really thought the sitting would be the biggest issue. So I was kind of right there. But I had in mind like maybe like a work day, we're going to have meditation, which is like 8 hours. That is a lot, but that can work. And then I saw the schedule when I got the first day.
I showed you the schedule the day before. I even posted it on Instagram.
Yeah, but I didn't look
You
at
didn't
it.
calculate.
I was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do it either way. So I don't need to overthink this. So yeah, I thought, and then I saw like, okay, we wake up at 4:30. That's gonna be tough, but I'm jet lagged anyway. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be hard either way. And I thought, okay, 4:30, 2 hours meditation straight away. I'm like, okay, solid. Then 1.5 hour rest, breakfast, and walking or whatever you wanted to do. Or that's basically all you could do. Sleep or walk. That was the two options.
Or shower.
Or
it was
shower.
hot water at that time.
That was not really nice. That was
really nice.
my highlight almost. And then after that, it was 1 more hour of meditation plus 1.5. No, 1.5 plus then 1, right?
Yes. It was 3 in total.
It was 1.5 hours, and then it was 1 hour. Yeah. No, the other way around. Doesn't matter. It was 3 hours in total. And then it was lunch from 11 to 1. So also free time there. Was it 11? Yeah.
Yeah, 11 to 1.
Yeah. And then that was the killer. So from 11 to 5. No, to 1 from 1 to 5 there was meditation.
My favorite.
It was 4 hours straight. You were allowed to go out and stretch your legs and stuff. And after 1.5 hours, there was a break. And then there was 1 more hour. Then it was 5 minutes break. And then was another 1.5 hours. But that was like, we already sat for so many hours. That was so crazy for me. And then there was this fruit time that was never really fruit. It said on the schedule, there's like, yeah, lemon tea and snacks and fruit. And I was like, it was only snacks and lemon tea.
Yeah.
Which was nice as well.
I
learned to really enjoy it. The chai was also the highlight. And then after that, there was this video course of 1.5 hours of...
it was first an hour of meditation.
After?
Right after dinner, there was 1 hour of meditation. Then there was a video course, and then there was a little meditation finished.
Okay, yeah, true. And then, yeah, after the video course, it was just half an hour before bed as well, meditation. So in total, it's a little bit more than 11 hours of meditation a day for 10 days. So a bit more, because it was a half day as well. So it was a bit more than 110 hours of meditation in less than 2 weeks.
Yes.
And
what was the hardest part for you? to not get too carried away with the schedule.
Yeah, okay.
Get really into the schedule here.
Yeah, but it's fun to understand how hardcore the schedule is, and like how it's such a military like structure to it. So if I didn't know what Vipassana was, I think it's pretty good to know.
Stealing some of your chai.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I have here. To know like how crazy of a practice that is, and experience. Like it makes, if you know the schedule, it will make sense, everything that we're talking about.
But for me, I think what surprised me the most was I didn't get at all into researching about it. I literally, from day one, I took what I heard from people. I never looked it up online. I never like really asked too many questions. All I heard from people was 11 days in silence meditation.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that there was like a mythology behind, kind of, that there was like a person who created a structure and we following that person's idea.
Yeah.
Which apparently was a Buddha's idea to start with, but
not in that structure.
Not in that structure, not in that sense. So that's what surprised me, that there was this person who has created a schedule that is being used all over the world in every single Vipassana center, and every single country has several Vipassana centers. So it was
with his recording as
well.
With
his recordings, with the same movie, with the same kind of structure, with the same like similar kind of idea of food and everything. And that's what surprised me. I was a little bit like, oh, okay, because I had this illusion that we're going to be sitting there and I can just do my own meditation.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I thought that, but that's what I thought. I didn't realize that they're going to teach us a meditation, which totally makes sense.
Yeah.
But I didn't reflect on that. I was just like, cool, I can do my Joe Dispenza meditation sitting 11 hours a day. It's going to be amazing.
I was thinking, I'm going to manifest the shit out of this.
And then you sit there and observe your upper lip.
Yeah, and you're like,
11 hours a day.
Yeah, that was not in the plan in my head either.
No.
Yeah. So I think the most challenging part was for me like how it felt like it was so much there was so little time for anything else. I had in mind that I'm gonna be able to go for long walks and like almost get tired of walking and just sit and be with nature for a long time and just have time off to just reflect on all the meditations. But the schedule was so like, I remember there was this part where I think it was like day 7, me and Eduardo, my roommate, that we shared one word in the whole from when we were in silence, and that was like he had a big spider in his bed, and he was like, spider. And that was it. Because he wanted to explain what he's doing. Like, I'm not a weirdo here. I'm just like taking this spider out. So he explained. I was like, that was it. But I remember like it was day 7 or day 8 or something. We were both like so fucking exhausted. We both, you could feel that he had a tough day and he could feel that I had a tough day. And it was in this evening one, and we came back from like the 5-minute break or however long it is. We both just like stormed to our room and just laid down in the bed. And I remember we both like laid down at the same time and like did this big like, oh. And at the same moment, like when we stopped the sigh, the bell started ringing that it was time for the next meditation. And we both just like burst out laughing. We were like, this is too funny, because we could feel how like we were so done. And then it was crazy.
Yeah, I didn't think that was my biggest problem, like the time. I kind of liked that I didn't have time for anything else.
Yeah.
I think if I would have had more spare time, and I think that's the idea behind it as well, if I would have had more time in between, I would have gotten pretty distracted. Just having this half an hour, 45 minutes to walk every day in between some sessions already distracted me quite a lot. I noticed that the first 10-15 minutes, my body was completely calm and I was in my body and my mind was empty. after 15, 20 minutes, I started having ideas, manifestations, visions, all of that. And then I had to go back to meditation. I was like, oh shit, I was just completely somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I think I would have almost even liked less free time. It sounds crazy, but I think if I would have just gone meditation, sleep, eat, it would have gotten me even deeper than what it did.
But then I would want it to be 8 days.
Yeah, maybe.
Because the last 2 days was just too boring. Like it was too little stimulants. Like you would think that after 8 days you're fine. Yeah, exactly. You would think that that you will be done with like having this detox of input. And I was, but it was just like this practice stayed the same after the 5th day or 6th day.
Yeah.
And it was just like my whole system was like, oh my God, here we go again. Feel this. Like, and the starting point, well, I starting at different points because I got so like.
You need to maybe explain what starting with.
Yeah. So the practice is that the first 3 days, we start with just observing this triangle.
Yeah.
This part on our body. Just
so for
observing.
Those who are just listening, the triangle that we're talking about is from the start of the nose until like the upper lip. So that triangle around there.
Yeah, the whole nose and the upper lip. Yeah. So you were just observing this part, and oh my God, just first observing breathing was day 1, and then day 2 was observing sensations. So tingling, itching. Any type of sensations that was in this area. Yeah.
And what I wanted to add is like for us as breathwork facilitators, observing the breathing is so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Because you're automatically trying to optimize it.
Yeah.
And every time I noticed, I was like, okay, observe the breath. Oh my God, I breathe way too shallow. I breathe way too fast. Oh, my heart rate is up. I should slow down my heart rate by breathing like this.
100%.
And I started to modify it. And then he keeps repeating, don't change anything. If it's shallow, it's shallow. If it's fast, it's fast. If it's this, it's a... And it was so hard for me. At the beginning, I was like, and I kept doing my own thing. But eventually I was like, Nic, you're here to learn.
Yeah.
Try to just observe it.
Same.
And I noticed that I was breathing wrong sometimes. And I was like, just observe it. Do not change it. It was so hard.
Yeah, so fast and so shallow. And I was like, what the fuck? But it's good because you notice how often you breathe incorrectly, even though we practice so often.
Yeah.
And what sets it apart is like how used we are to notice our breath and then change it. And then that becomes the new changed state after a while. And you're like, you don't need to think about it then. Yeah. It's like, and then every time you notice it, you're like, oh, but that was the thing. But I think also it was the air quality, because the first couple of days for me was so tough it was a lot of pollution. And I noticed like my breath is never this fast and shallow. You could tell like how my body was trying to detox.
Yeah, for sure. And also the food and everything. I've noticed after food, I had such a heart race every time.
Yeah.
There was like these little things, but let's go back to the practice. So after 3 days of doing that, they kind of evolve into another part. And the first part of the practice, he said that we should focus on the very top of the head, and once you start, hello fuck, and once you start to feel the tickling, almost like ants walking on your head, and everyone who's listening now or watching, try to focus so much on the top of the head. I never done it before up until that point, that you feel the tingling, and it's so bizarre because where is it coming from?
Yeah, it's like
why is
am
this
I
happening?
creating this?
Is this and why is it happening? And after I activated it kept happening all the time. Even like during the meditation where I wasn't focusing on my head, I suddenly felt this tingling over my head. Super weird. But try it just to get all your focus as much as you can. Sometimes it takes minutes, sometimes seconds, to the top of your head, to this part here, where like right in the middle where the hairline starts, and then you start to feel as if ants were running above on top of your head. So that's like the first part. And then he says, and then take tiny pieces of your body, bit by bit, piece by piece. We listen to this recording a million times.
Part by part, piece by piece.
Exactly. And you listen and you start to do a body scan, basically from head to toes. but not like a body scan as if you do in yoga that you just kind of sweep through the body. That was the next practice. You just first go like really like little by little. You're supposed to like take in like centimeters and centimeters over your whole body. So instead of just doing the forehead, you take the forehead in several parts. And the idea is that you start to see where you have more feeling, where you have less feeling, where you cannot feel anything. If you can surrender to that, or if you can stay focused and try to make yourself feel something.
Without desire.
Without desire. Yeah, you're not supposed to force it. And it's been like, first I was like, really? Is that the practice?
Yeah,
really?
So boring.
And, but then like surrender to that boredom.
Yeah.
And the boredom has a reason.
Yeah.
And you realize there were so many moments where my ego was like, oh, you know, it's so much better. You do all these Joe Dispenza meditations. You're teaching that stuff. Like, don't listen to this crazy
this
old
is
man.
early 80s. Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then I kept catching my ego, sometimes a bit late, but I kept catching it and was like, you're here to learn. You're not always a teacher. You're also a student. Right now you're a student. Pretend you know nothing and just listen exactly what he's saying.
Yeah.
And that's what he keeps repeating as well. The students who are most willing to do the practice as he explains are the ones who have the best results. So that kept coming back to me. That I was like, okay, I'm going to just surrender. I'm just going to really surrender and listen to everything that he says and do it exactly as it is.
Yeah.
And it was really boring sometimes. And sometimes I really don't want to do this. But then I just took a deep breath and I was like, okay, let's go back. Again, starting at the head and going down there. And then I started like eventually like experimenting. Oh, can I feel behind my ears?
Yeah, you had to find the spots that you never thought about.
Exactly.
Because you had so much time. You had 11 hours a day to feel things. You're like, I need to like, it's in between my toes and like, behind the ears and like the kneecaps was weird. Yeah. I was like, whoa, I never felt inside of my kneecaps.
And then like your bum.
Yeah, your bum.
And like in like all in there.
Because that was the thing. I wanted to ask my teacher, but I never did because it was like the whole body you're supposed to feel. But he kind of shies away of this whole boxer line.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't mention it. He mentions everything else.
Yeah, but he mentioned several times the whole body. So I was like, well, if I'm supposed to feel my whole body, I need to feel my whole body.
I was so literally, I was sitting there and I was just with my vagina.
Yeah.
Like 2 hours a day. I was like, okay, my vagina. Cool. I can feel it. Yeah, I can feel all the parts. I
couldn't feel my vagina at all.
Oh, shit. You did something wrong, man.
Yeah, but it was weird. And like but the inner thighs was so easy to feel. I like, was crazy. It was
like
so
fabric.
Quick. Yeah, but like close to.
Oh yeah.
That's how I always got there because I was like the most inner thighs was like so ticklish.
Yeah.
And then it's like
Yeah.
It was wild, but it felt weird sitting in this sacred hall, and it's like focus on my butthole, feel the butthole. Is there any tingling or any throbbing or sensations, whatever it is? Like
But I thought it at first too. I was like, I cannot sit here and like focus on my clit.
Yeah.
But then I was like, this is sacred. Like, this is sacred. We're making babies with that. I was like, it's wrong to not connect to this part, especially like in a fast-paced world where we have a lot of stress as well, like talking a little bit more transparent as a couple. You don't always have time after 4 years to have sexy time every single day or to connect to the body like that.
Yeah.
And I felt pretty disconnected before the Vipassana. I felt like I kind of like down here, I had like no connection to it. So during the Vipassana, sitting there and really taking the time and being in this part, being in that body, it really connected me again to the whole flow.
Yeah.
It was like suddenly it wasn't like a break of energy flow in the body. Suddenly it was like a whole flow. And I thought, this is sacred. This is spirituality. This is what we're supposed to feel like, where the modern world is disconnecting us from that. Even though the modern world talks a lot about sex, but the ancient world doesn't.
Yeah.
Depends where you're, obviously. In tantric stuff and Kama Sutra and everything, it's a different story.
Yeah.
But I felt like we are creating with this part. Why should we leave that out?
Yeah.
And so sitting in that sacred hall, I was more trying to embrace that. I was like, this is my most sacred area.
Yeah.
Why? I'm not going to shame this. I'm going to embrace it, that I'm in a holy place connecting to my most sacred area.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of my thought pattern there.
Yeah.
And it worked. Like I felt so connected to my whole body, like never before.
Yeah, for sure. Like
never before.
Everything, like, and eventually, like, and the practice here is like why you did part by part, piece by piece, was to sharpen your mind. That's how he explained it. Like you need to, that's why you only focus on the nose part and the upper lip. So you start with the triangle, the whole nose and the upper lip, and then you narrow it down to just under your nostrils and your upper lip. Mm-hmm. So this small part, I thought about it like during the meditation, like, that's the Hitler mustache part. That's what I'm supposed to feel.
Thought about
no, but that's where my mind went. My mind went many places, but that was one of them. And that's all you focused on was this part. And then you narrowed it down even more to just like the middle part, to just focus on like just one part. And sometimes you felt the tingling in your thigh or on your head. And you were supposed to just like brush it off and just focusing on sensation in this small area to sharpen the mind, to then be able to feel just your big toe, just your little toe, just your kneecap or whatever it was.
Yeah. In between the toes and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you really noticed how quick you got.
Yeah.
At feeling sensations. Like I thought about like if I just focus on because my hands was the easiest.
Yeah.
Like the arms and the hands were so easy to get flow.
I couldn't do my shoulders.
The shoulders were hard. Super difficult. It took me so long. And also my scar. I have I broke my collarbone, and the scar make my skin have no sensations from like middle bicep on my left arm up to the whole scar. And I was like, fuck, that's gonna be so annoying. But I felt it. That's weird, because I felt sensations on the skin, but when I pinch it, I can't. So it's like probably under the skin that I can't feel. But
like
it was
really close around it.
Yeah, super interesting. Super interesting. I was like, am I gonna wire new connections and feel it? It's like
possible.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, that was it was interesting how quick you were.
Yeah, but then
at feeling.
I agree with that, but also I noticed that sometimes the thought that I'm quick at feeling was just an illusion. It felt almost like it was a memory of what I felt in the last session, and I'm just sweeping through my body feeling, but I wasn't actually feeling. It was more like, oh, okay, yeah, on my shoulders, I can feel the fabric on my and I just like, I didn't think that consciously, but I felt like the quick sweeping through my body often was like a not real sensation. It was the memory of the sensation that I discovered in another session.
Yeah, it was hard to pinpoint.
Exactly. And then when I noticed I was going too fast and that was happening, that I was just envisioning the body parts and remembering the sensation, that I stopped myself and went like go in the body. And sometimes it really took like 10 breaths or so to really be in my body and not envision anything. Yeah. And then I was trying to just focus on like, the darkness behind the eyes and just like really kind of being with my vision, instead of trying to let my mind take my vision to a fantasy world of envisioning my limbs or my fingers or whatever. Yeah. And once I'm with the vision and I don't see any fantasies, it took like a few attempts to keep your eye present. Okay, now I'm seeing just black. Yeah. And from there, I started being like, okay, forehead. And then I could really just like, I was in my eyes and in my head, and I could really feel that area. And then I was like slowly moving down. And I noticed when I was moving down that my eyes were shifting as well, that I was like, okay, right. And then my eyes were going to the right. And
so annoying.
And so forth. And I didn't mind it at all. I was just like, that's what my body needs to do right now. Yeah. And then as soon as I started discovering that, to be really feeling it and not envisioning it, that's when things started shifting. That's when I was like, when I was taking it really slow. And then I had this crazy meditation. Yeah. Maybe I should talk about it.
Yeah, in a bit. Let's talk about the continued practice, like talking about the practice and like the benefits from it, and like how it's actually, what's the point of sitting so long, and why are we feeling sensations? Yeah. Yeah. Because you're training your mind to feel all of these sensations. Good or bad, it doesn't matter. And that's the thing that he talks about as well. Because when you felt the sensation, your main thing was to not attach to it or feel like, oh, that's a pleasant sensation or that's a negative, uncomfortable sensation.
And not trying to change it.
Exactly.
So that's the thing as well. Not just attaching it, but it's like, oh, this is bad. I want to shift my body so it feels nice again or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
You were supposed to observe as the observer, as we all are. You're observing me talking right now. And you also observed your body then. And when you observe this part, okay, on my shin, it feels tingling. And that's more pleasant than, oh my God, my knees are on fire because I've been sitting cross-legged for 6 hours today.
Yes.
And these two extreme sensations, the super pleasant one and the super uncomfortable one, were supposed to be treated in the same way, like with total neutral.
Yeah, what was the word? Economic?
No, not economic. Wow. Equality.
Equanimity.
Equanimity, yeah. Equanimous.
Equanimous.
Yeah, but that's the word for it, equanimity.
Yeah.
Which was a word that I never heard many times before this. But after this 11 days, I heard that word a lot. a lot.
Equanimous.
Equanimous. So you were supposed to stay completely neutral to any sensation. Yeah. And that was the practice to then now in the real world, when you apply this type of thing, you sat through so much pain because you are, after day 5, you get introduced that 3 of the 11 hours a day, the quest and the mission was to not move for that 1 full hour. You're selecting a position that you're sitting in, and with your hands and with everything else, you're supposed to be as still as you can. You can straighten your back and stuff because that's super easy that it happens. It's a part of the practice that you're supposed to sit as straight as possible. Exactly.
So they allowed you to do that. Yeah. But for me, I think the most uncomfortable part, honestly, was the itching.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I could withstand pain, no problem. I could withstand discomfort, no problem. I could withstand anything, but sometimes I even had like this extreme pain suddenly out of nowhere. It's like felt like electricity shooting. Yeah. It didn't matter. I could completely easy observe it and be with it. But then when my nose was itching or my eye was itching or 3 places at the same time in my face were itching, I was going crazy. And I was trying to be with that sensation, be like, I just observe it. And then I noticed that when you let an itch stay, it becomes cold and sharp and almost as if someone would put something cold on you. It was really interesting to actually observe it until it dies. Yeah. But the thing with itching is it becomes worse and worse and worse and worse. And then it dies and then it comes back. Most of the time it comes back and it wants you to itch anyway. And I was just, I
didn't think it was that bad. That was not at all.
I was itching so many times.
Yeah?
But you showered more often than me.
Because that was a theory of mine as well. I was like, I feel way less sensations when I've showered.
Oh, really?
Because, it makes sense that you have more or like shit on you that itches. But if you're super clean and brushed and feel fresh, it was way harder to feel sensations on my back and on my stomach and stuff. But if I was like, the day that I didn't shower, I felt more sensations because it makes sense. I was like, fuck, should I stop showering? So the practice becomes easier, but then that's, I don't know, that's cheating, I guess.
Yeah.
But to continue the
actual practice.
The practice, yeah. So you're sitting with sensations, you're observing them very equanimous, aka natural, and you learn to not. Yeah, it really worked. Like day 7 was the best for me, which is dangerous to say. My teacher said, I was like, I had a really good meditation this morning. He's like, oh, that's trouble. Never say you have a good meditation.
Don't get attached. Yeah, any meditation.
Exactly. It's just it's the practice, however it is.
Checking the time.
Yeah. How long have we been going?
Half an hour.
Half an hour. Okay, good. And then when he... Yes. So it really works to not get attached to to the feeling, to the sensations,
Yeah.
I really felt like, okay, my knees are super in pain, or my outer thighs or hips, but it was like I'm neutral to it. It felt okay for so much more than in the beginning. The first 3 days was agony for me. It was proper torture.
I thought of you so many times there. I knew that you were gonna die. I thought you wouldn't make it. I really thought you wouldn't.
And the friend we had a row of 3 guys that were sitting next to each other, and we were all Westerners, and I just we felt each other struggle so much. Like we were so like determined, and we felt our super focus, but we kept repositioning. Like the first 3 days was fucking crazy, and we just like, I call them my struggle brothers now. That was the first thing that I said to them when I came out. I was like, my struggle brothers, we fucking did it. But yeah, with this practice, you then teach your brain not to react strong to situations in day-to-day life. So if you stubble your toe or you get bad news or whatever it is, you are way more calm to it. You notice how you're reacting, and you're getting a sensation in your body, like getting this bad stomach that you can get, or a heart rate, or you notice your breath because you've been focusing so much on it, which we practice all the time anyway. So for us, it's pretty natural and common for us to notice our breath.
Yeah.
But and then when you notice that you're reacting, and then you take that back and like, no. This will also pass. Just like the itching did on your nose. That was crazy. Yeah, aniche.
Aniche was the word for nothing is forever. Everything is changing. Everything is passing. Nothing is eternal. And it really
will come and it will pass.
Exactly. And I am so aware of that. Like in the mind.
Yeah.
Like, how do you say? Anyway, my mind is aware of that. And I repeat it many times to myself. When something happens, I'm like, that will pass. I saying to my coaching clients, when they go through a breakup or something, and then they say, yeah, but I will not ever find anyone else after that. I was like, how many times did you already say that?
Yeah.
Through breakups? You always think that this is the worst time because you're in it. But if you actually reflect on it, everything in the world passes. The good and the bad.
Yeah.
As much as I would like to hold on to every single good situation, it's not going to stay. And that's a good reminder in bad situations. Not even my good situations stayed for me. Why should the bad ones stay? And having this realization just how he says, in a experience, like you experience it.
Yeah.
You experience it for 11 hours a day, observing that everything passes. And they say something really good, like, why would you get attached to anything if you know it will go away? Like relationships, work, money, anything that is in this reality. Pleasure, pain, love, hatred, anything is going away.
Yeah.
So why would you get attached to something that will die very soon?
Mm-hmm.
And they keep repeating it. And it was the first time that I really got it. And then when things were uncomfortable, or thoughts were coming up, or I had a bad meditation where my mind was racing and I couldn't focus, I kept going back to that almost as a mantra. It will pass. Yeah. Don't get attached.
Exactly.
It will pass.
This will also pass.
And it was so good. And since then, I do it all the time. Even when we drive with the tuk-tuk for a crazy street and there's pollution in my face, I'm like, this will pass. And it's so important to actually see it, every situation, even the ones that are shitty, as treasure.
Yeah.
Because not getting attached to it if it's good or bad, and just being like, this I'm allowed to experience in my lifetime. Like, do I rather want to not have this time, or do I want to experience it all as a human?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the concept, like every relationship you had, you're like, would I take it back if I could? Like, would I? It's like most of the people say, no.
It taught me.
Yeah, it taught me things, or I enjoyed the time that we had, and now that was what's needed.
Exactly.
Like it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
And I always see everything that we do in life and everything that's happening to us is just the human experience. And even before the Vipassana, I already spoke about it a lot. It's like this avatar, this body that I'm very much also attached to, but sometimes it feels so alien to me when I look down on me and I'm like, oh my God, I'm living in this thing. It's like I feel that separation of this is something that will die.
Yeah.
And the consciousness that observes this is something that will stay. I can really notice that when I really go into meditation. There's like, I'm not that attached to my body anymore. I'm not that attached to dying or living.
Yeah.
And even before the Vipassana, I was often over and over again in that state. That's why I could detach from the fear of death, because I was like, I know that there's something that will happen after this body is gone. So dying is actually not really dying. It's always a circle.
Yeah.
Nothing is ending ever. Everything is like, processing. Proceeding. Yeah. Anyway, so that feeling of like, I'm allowed to experience this emotion. I'm blessed to go through this tough situation because this is an experience. It's not good or bad. It's an experience, another experience that I am blessed to have in this human life. And the more I can experience, the richer this human life will be for me. And it doesn't matter if it's experiences that feel unpleasant, that feel uncomfortable, that feel painful, that feel like, I'm dying from the inside. Yeah. I always have this slight moment, not back in the days not, but recently, since practicing a lot of things, there's this little separation. There's this little gap between I'm in this and I'm experiencing this.
Yeah.
And when I take it as I'm experiencing this, it's like I'm witnessing it and not I'm in it.
Exactly.
And that helps me so much to actually enjoy the unpleasant moments. When I was sick in Mexico, and I was lying in the hammock and I was horribly sick. I had like fever. I was blocked off. I could hardly open my eyes. I was coughing. I was so uncomfortable. But I was lying there and there was this moment in this hammock where I was like, look what this body can feel. And I was in pain. I had joint pain and people offered me painkillers and I didn't want to take them because I was like, I am experiencing this. Yeah. And I'm witnessing this pain and what my body is fighting right now, because that's what the pain and the fever is.
So signaling?
Exactly. No, it's not signaling. It's my body's ability to fight something up that is not good for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And being able to experience it and be with it and detach from it and just witness it. Yeah. It's such a practice and it's so vital. And I felt like a lot of teachings in the Vipassana were basically bringing that even closer to me. This sitting in pain and being like, I am able to experience pain in my legs. Yeah. Some people don't have legs. Some people have no feeling in the bottom part. And I'm like, I can feel pain. And it's an experience because I have a body. Yeah. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Rather than, I want everything to go away.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, that was a long one.
No, it was good. It was, but that's just what side you choose to feel. Like, what side of the coin do you want to, like, you can do nothing about it either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, why do I choose to do the annoying way?
Sitting in the suffering.
Yeah. And creating more suffering. Yeah. Exactly. That was the thing. Like, I get a mosquito bite and it's super agitating, but like, you can choose to complain about it or you can choose to not.
Yeah, you can choose on focusing on only the mosquito bite, or you can choose to look around you and focus on what's around you and the rest of the experience.
The unconscious feels the mosquito bite either way.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was so many good learnings in this practice to just be with myself and to allow things to bubble to the surface. Also, thoughts.
So many thoughts passed. Yeah. Like, that's the thing as well. The first 3 days when your body realizes you're in this experience, the thoughts were running so wild. I had so many thoughts and ideas and was like, I want to get out of here so I can make these ideas to action. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And oh my God, that memory or that person I haven't thought about in 7 years.
Yes.
And this person was kind of present, like, whoa, holy shit. I wonder what he or she is doing now. And like this happened and that. And then it's like, oh, this song. Oh, wow. I haven't heard this song since I was like so young. Like what crazy.
Yeah.
And then just music started coming, lyrics, and like it just didn't end.
Yeah.
Of just noise.
Yeah.
And then day 4 for me was like, it's like I could hear nothing and just focus.
We had a different experience there.
Yeah.
I felt like it was different parts of my day that I experienced one day, but I guess that's like similar to female hormones and male hormones.
Yeah, maybe.
You kind of go with this and we go like, whoa, like every day is like a whole year.
Well, some days was like that too for me, I think.
Yeah.
But now I'm generalizing. I mean, we could spend the whole podcast talking about day 1.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, but I felt like every day I had times when my mind was really quiet and times when my mind was really loud. And usually it became a pattern that I knew at what times it was going to be that way. Or sometimes like after a few days, I realized that it was going to like, oh, okay. That was like, my mind was so loud. I was like, oh, yesterday as well, or the day before as well, at the same time. I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it was really good also to see when am I most productive and most clear in my mind.
Yeah.
It was a really nice thing to learn. But I felt like my mind was really peaceful sometimes and full of gratitude in my whole body and just like calm and quiet and flow. And then there was these moments where my mind started racing, and it was usually my past that was coming up. And it was anything from relationships to friendships to parents to childhood. And I think after a couple of days, I noticed the pattern that I'm going through chapters. That I had like on day 2 or 3, I already went through 6 chapters of 6 different people or situations that I tried to reject or try to heal for a long time. And it didn't happen because I kept seeing things from the same angle. It was like the memory was created at that point, and I dragged the memory as it was with me, creating the same emotions over and over again, because I wasn't able to change the perspective because I was so in that memory.
Yeah, the memory will stay the same.
Exactly. And so even if you change, you not question the memory and the emotions attached to it. Even though you change, you grow, you develop, your emotions are so different nowadays.
Yeah, that's the way it was.
That's the way it was. Exactly.
Like...
Exactly. And I noticed after a few days that kept happening, that I was like, okay, today for 3 hours, I was thinking about that ex-boyfriend, and I recalled the conversations, and I started seeing his side of the story, his coin of the, side of the coin. And I started feeling his part of it. It was like, I created a whole new level of compassion towards people who have hurt me as well.
Yeah, same.
It was...
Yeah, both sides, the people that I hurt and the people that hurt me. It's like, whoa.
Exactly. And
Crazy.
Then it became also that after realizing that, after a few days, I also noticed that I also allowed it to happen. So it wasn't like, oh my God, my mind is racing. Why am I not meditating? I realized, hold on, this is part of the practice.
Yeah.
Because I'm going through chapters of healing. And I stopped fighting it. I allowed it to happen without judging myself for it, without getting angry at it. Yeah. And I think that's what he also says, right? If your mind is racing, it's racing. Just bring it back. Yeah. And before that, I was never doing it. I was like, oh no, I slipped again. Oh, but then I was at that point where I was like, I'm going through this right now for a reason. And I'm just going to stay with it until I feel like that chapter is worked through. And sometimes it took 10 minutes because the mind is very fast, faster than reality. Yeah. And sometimes it took an hour. But after that, I felt in peace, and I kept going to Ho'oponopono, like repeating, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Yeah. And I always ended every chapter then with that.
Nice. You had such a structure.
And then I was always like feeling so much love and peace for the people who hurt me, for the people who left me, for the people who, I don't know, were good friends for a long time, and then we went separate ways because our life has changed. And I was just in peace. Yeah. I was just in peace. And it was, I allowed it to happen. I think that's what a lot of people don't allow. A lot of people try to reject thoughts. reject memories.
Yeah. I explained to my mom that like all the things, because things came up, I explained a situation that came up to me, and I was like, holy shit, I processed this. I thought so much and I worked so much on this thing. And now it comes up again. Like I let go of this so long ago.
Yeah.
And and I explained to her, it's like you think you have processed something, but you unconscious part of you put it under the rug. Mm-hmm. And the rug just kept, it's a lot of things under that rug. Mm. And after a couple of days, that rug just disappears. And all of the things under the rug just comes up in your face and like, hi, remember me? And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
It was literally, you just shed light on the thing that that was full of darkness, that your conscious mind forgot about it.
Yeah. I just had a thought. I think this is very similar to what we said, that we drag along our emotions from the past.
Yeah.
And we see it always from the same angle. And I think something very similar happens with forgiveness and processing, because we develop, we change. And I think when we forgive or think we worked through something in the past, I think this is something that needs to happen over and over again with the same people and the situations, because we are changing. Let me try to explain where I'm going there.
Yeah.
Let me try to explain where I'm going with this. So instead of forgiving someone once in that situation and then moving on and thinking this thing will be forever under the rug, because there's so many angles to every situation, like we just explained. There's so many angles and so many parts of it and so many roles you have played in a situation and in a relationship, especially in longer relationships. You've played so many roles in it, so many millions of roles. And forgiving it one time and putting it under the rug and hoping it will never show up again is completely crazy. Because we are changing, and the more we change and the more we're learning, the more we're healing, the more of these situations that we wouldn't have noticed in the past self start to appear. It's like, now I know about trauma. So suddenly I see the situation as like, oh, that was a trauma reaction from me and that was a trauma reaction from her or him. Mm-hmm. Rather than back in the days, I was like, okay, I just forgive that person. I start to see all of these other aspects and roles.
Like it makes sense. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the more I grow, the older I get, the more of the situation will come up. And suddenly a situation that I didn't even see as that hurtful will become more hurtful for me in future, because something else has shifted in my life where I'm more sensitive to that one subject. Yeah. So this situation will come up again. And I'm like, oh, I was already hurt by this 10 years ago by this other person. And now it comes back. Yeah. So that's another moment in life where you have to maybe seek forgiveness.
Yeah. It's like a bullying. Like imagine you're getting bullied because you have glasses. And the 10th time is going to hurt so much more than the first time. Mm-hmm. Because you keep attaching to that.
No, that's a completely different thing that I was saying.
No, but imagine you got bullied in school because you had glasses, and then 30 years later someone makes the same kind of comment.
Exactly, but it's more like
it's similar to what you said.
It's similar, but it's more like, I'm more talking about like actual like interactions where you played several roles, where it was not about one thing, because that one thing you can forgive then eventually.
Yeah, but that was a very simple. That was a very non-complex situation. Very one-sided. Yeah. But in a similar situation, more complex.
Yeah, I guess. I'm more saying that you notice situations that you haven't noticed before. Because you are changing and your torch gets put into new angles of your life. So it's not the glasses anymore. Suddenly you see, oh, I remember seeing that child with his mom one day and the mom looked like an alcoholic. Yeah. And suddenly you're like, oh, that was that. And then, and I remember that I met this child as well one day when I was with my mom, and my mom was so loving and kind to me, and the child the next day bullied me even more. Oh, that was because of the trauma. And like, Do you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
start to understand the story
The
way
viewpoint,
deeper
yeah.
than rather just like, oh, he was a mean child and he bullied me, so I forgive him.
Bad person. And it's like, oh, no, there's so much more to that than just one bad person.
Yes, that's where I was going.
Okay, I understand
So if you look at it from let's say my ex-boyfriend's perspective, oh, okay, I forgave that we had this big fight before we broke up and it's fine now. But then, okay, there's another 5 years to process. Okay, oh, there was this situation. Oh, and one day I did this and that was a trigger. And then and suddenly you see all of these other things. So there's so many moments of forgiveness that are going to keep popping up. There's so many moments of pain that have been put away that you don't even think about. But then a memory comes up that is connected to that. Mm-hmm. A trigger for yourself that I was like, holy shit, I forgot about the situation and relationship, but now it's so present.
Yeah.
And then you forgive again, and then you forgive again, and then you forgive again. And suddenly you have this moment like I had, like I was sitting there and I was thinking about my old best friend that I was so hurt by. And I imagined her and her mom dancing in the kitchen for some reason. And her mom was Colombian and they were having this dance. And I imagined the daughter and her and everyone laughing and dancing around each other. And I had so much anger and so much hate against this person. Like it was true hate. Yeah. And in this situation, I was sitting in this meditation hall. I'm getting all emotional talking about it. I was just imagining them in the kitchen dancing. Yeah. And the sun coming in. Living in a nice house, being happy and healthy. And I was sitting in this meditation hall after 4 years of anger and hatred towards that person. Yeah. And I felt so much love and compassion. And I was truly happy for her and her family. And I was just smiling. I caught myself, and I didn't realize until I noticed that my lips were smiling. And that's when I realized what happened. Wow. That's when I realized I forgave. Yeah. And after forgiveness, there's just love. Yeah. There is no nothing. People think they forgive and then they forget. But after forgiveness is love. Yes. Yeah. For sure. So the love comes back. The purity comes back. Yeah, sometimes it takes long though. Yeah, holy shit. And sometimes you need that different perspective. That different viewpoint. And I think that's why Vipassana was so important. Yeah. You had no choice but to sit with your thoughts. And because it was so strict, you couldn't distract yourself from those thoughts. And then eventually you had no other option than processing them. You were like, okay, I have nothing better to do. Yeah, I'm going to sit with that. Yeah, and you did, and that's the thing, because I heard it so many times, like, oh, you sit with it and you will get answers. And it's like, oh. And then it's like, fuck, it's so true. It's so fucking true. You don't need 10 days. If you have a problem, like sit down and do nothing. Stare at the wall if you have a hard time closing your eyes, but do nothing. And your brain will get bored enough to figure out the answer. Yes. Yes. So like you received so many answers in your life from what you witnessed and what people taught you, what you read in books, what you saw on Instagram and videos. Yeah. The answers are all within you. Like literally they are within you. Like you consumed so many answers in your life. And in that moment, sometimes we forgot what drawer to open. But when you sit with yourself, the drawers will open automatically. It's like a magic bookshelf where the right book will fall in your hands and you open the right page. Yeah. But if you're so busy trying to find the answer, you get confused within all these bookshelves and you keep looking, opening one after the next, and it's not there. Yeah. And then you get this moment where you're like, oh, this is what it is. And sometimes it comes so subtle. You don't even notice that you found the answer until you suddenly feel this love. You suddenly feel this feeling after forgiveness, this peace and love that just happens after you find the answer without knowing that you did. And then you can put it aside, sprinkle some love over it and move on. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, it's that easy, folks. Yeah, but like when you said that, I thought about the movie Limitless. You know, with what's the actor's name? Cooper?
Yeah, Bradley Cooper, right?
Yeah.
For you that haven't seen it, he takes a magical drug, a pill that makes him access 100% of his brain or whatever. And he remembers things that he saw unconsciously back in the days, like a corner of a book, and he knows what the book, and he always scrolled through the book like quickly, and his subconscious mind took all of that information in, but he didn't do it consciously. And now all of a sudden, when he has access to 100% part of his brain, he can now recess all of those pages that he just skimmed through. And that's kind of how that works. Yeah. When you allow the subconscious and the conscious to kind of melt together, you get answers that you don't know where they came from, but they came from you, obviously, because where it came from. It could have been a source of energy outside. We call it downloading, right? Like when you sit and I got this download of information, but it's like, I think in the grand scheme of it, it's like, it's just your subconscious telling your conscious this information that you have within you, but it's hard to access. And if you're bored enough, you will get access to it. And then all of a sudden, I have answers to this problem I've been walking around with. It's this simple. It's
because boredom is an illusion. You're never bored. No. It's more like you're unstimulated. But when you're unstimulated, like something really beautiful happens. As you said, it's like this. It's called peace. Yeah. And a lot of people think it's called boredom. Yeah. And but if you allow that peace or that boredom to happen, that is when things become easier. When you it's like tidying up a room full of shit and you're looking for that one thing. And when you're allowed to just sit with it, you that one thing will appear, and you will have a better view over the whole room with stuff. Yeah. And that's what happens exactly. And I think everyone in the world should do a Vipassana, and it's free. It's accessible. It's in every single country in the world, I think. Yeah. It's even on random islands where there's nothing else.
Yeah, it's just donation based.
Yeah. You pay whatever you like. You get food. You get accommodation. All you need to promise them at the beginning is that you make it through 10 days. And it's fucking hard.
Which many doesn't.
Most do.
Many did, yes. But there was some people that I noticed disappeared.
Yeah, same.
But that could also be like health reasons and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But I honestly believe if you are prepared that you're going to suffer for the first 3 days.
Or all of them, maybe.
Or maybe all of them.
We're all different.
Yeah, maybe all of them. But this, like generally, everyone says 3 or 4 days are the worst ones. Yeah. Generally. So if you are prepared for that, which I, for example, was, then you're sweet. Yeah. If you go there knowing that you will process some hard, heavy shit, then you can do it. Yeah. And it will change your life.
You see it as a boot camp. Like, you know how like the TV show, Biggest Loser? Such a bad name, by the way. It's like so, Jesus Christ, I never thought about it. Anyway, that TV show is all about like, okay, now you need to it's gonna be tough as shit, but you're gonna lose all of this weight. Like, see it as a boot camp, but like a Biggest Loser, but for your mind. No, I thought about coming up with a stupid name for that, but I don't need to go there. No. But like a boot camp for your mind, like a training, like a Navy SEALs, but for your mind.
A mind date.
Yeah, but a tough one.
A tough, uncomfortable
mind. A mind date in mud and cold. Yeah. And sometimes warm. Yeah. But it's like, it really is like a training camp for your conscious.
And you're not even like, just like with the healing, you're not even seeing during the process often how much you're processing and how far you're coming. I think I noticed on day like 8 or 9 how amazing this all was. Before that, I kept having this like ego fight of like, this is all bullshit. I don't think this is going to help me. I don't think it's good enough for me. Yeah. Like I've done too much healing to be able to receive this. And then day 8 or 9 or something, I was like, holy shit, that was deep.
Yeah.
But it took me like, even during the time, I kept thinking like, why am I here? I should just quit. I should just go to a hotel and do some work. Yeah. And then I realized that even those thoughts are part of the process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because it's like, but I would be, because I had those thoughts all the time, but I was like, but I would be so disappointed if I if I stop now, I'm like, I've done 6 days of this shit. Like, I can't stop now. Like, maybe something will happen, or maybe it won't, but then I will never know, and that will drive me crazy.
Yeah, and at least you learn through the discipline.
Yeah, exactly. Discipline. Yeah. Just the dopamine detox was worth it.
Yeah.
Like, you noticed how your brain is just so used to stimulation. And just stopping that stimulation gave you all the answers you actually were looking for.
Yeah.
With that stimulation. Yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful thing. We will have to talk about your crazy meditation in the next episode.
That sounds totally fine. I think we're going to have a couple about this Vipassana. There's so much more that we need to talk about.
It will keep coming up.
Yeah.
Like any conversation we will have now that's deep is like, oh yeah, in the Vipassana.
Yeah, for sure.
It's good.
Anyway,
yeah,
that was a great talk and a great first episode.
I think.
Yeah.
We hope.
We hope.
Yeah, we're here to grow. So if you have any suggestions of how we can improve, I mean, right now we're on a rooftop in a crazy city in Jodhpur in India. So like the sound will maybe be good, maybe not. And maybe it's distracting, maybe it's not. Maybe that was part of your practice. We will be in different locations, sometimes a studio, sometimes
a jungle.
Yeah, so... but we're here to improve. If you feel like the pacing was too fast or too slow, or the topic, if you have suggestions of topic that you want us to talk about, and everything in between, we're here to grow just like you are, and love, peace, harmony. Yeah,
beautiful.
See you next time.
See you next time.